Paperwork is still slow, Jerry, in the Army. It was when you were in. It still is. But 54 years is unacceptable and certainly not the norm. A good friend of mine, Tom Campbell, the Sergeant Major, that's standing next to him, he and I are good friends down there at Fort Eustis, Virginia. He's retired now. Got a haircut so he could suit up again so we could do this ceremony. And he sent me a note and he said, hey, I met this guy that knows a guy that should have gotten a Valor Award. And I said, oh, well, let me see what you're talking about. And so I get this file in the email. It's 177 pages long. And it's got the entire history of Jerry in there. And it's, you know, he's got 1 year of service in Vietnam, but he got 177 pages. And this testimonies from witnesses. It's his entire records in there. It's his previous awards are in there. There's the article that's in there. Everything is in this file. I have this PDF file. And I start reading through this file, and I'm like, holy cow. There's letters from members of Congress. I think there's a senator that's in there. And you guys have been working on this for a long, long time. And so I just offered, hey, let me see what I can do. So my small piece was to send off a couple emails, and fortunately we got this thing unblocked. So I tell you, it's nice to be a general officer in the Army. You can finally take care of some things that you wish you could have taken care of years ago, and it's nice that you can finally break down some barriers, and in this case, we were able to do so. Nonfiction, but Vietnam always brought another level of fear for those that were trying to envision what it was like. Something about the triple canopy jungle, something about an enemy that was so tenacious, that was seemingly invisible in this terrain, something about the oppressive heat and the humidity that added to this vision that was so ominous. And so when I read his story, 177 pages, I'm trying to put myself on this day. And you can't stop reading it. So the article that was written here with the Renegade Woods was one of the first things that caught my attention, and then I started going into all the accounts. When Tom reads this citation here shortly, it summarizes a 6-hour firefight down to about 3 sentences. So if you are unfamiliar with this battle, I just want to highlight a couple things, because you need to understand kind of what took place that day. And as I kind of read through it, I can envision this, given my own history, I can envision how this would have taken place. And I apologize if I miss some of the facts in here, Jerry, and if I do, just step in. But I'm not going to recount every bit of it, but I think it's important that you all understand. April 1st, 1970 was apparently the deadliest day that year, as I understand it. And April was the deadliest month in 1970 in Vietnam. And in April 1st, although that's not the day of the battle, April 1st was, in its own right, a day that probably many did not sleep, including 1st Platoon, Charlie Company, 2nd of the 27th, out of the 25th Infantry Division. So I'm imagining soldiers that are probably fairly tired. They've been there for a while, and they receive a new mission on April 2nd. This time, they're going to board on helicopters, and they're going to go into one of the western provinces of Vietnam, close to the Cambodian border. And they're going to attempt to rescue 11 Army Rangers that are pinned down, for lack of a better term. There were some clearing operations that were going in this area, and this area was known for its enemy activity. And as you all know from stories in Vietnam, we're talking about tunnels and bunkers and just ominous terrain that for any infantryman should scare the hell out of them, excuse me. And so they land, and they get onto the landing zone, and Lieutenant Ronnie Clark, he takes charge, and he puts them in 2 columns. Single file, it's a column. And they are moving across somewhat open area, headed towards a hedgerow, headed into this particular portion of Vietnam. And almost immediately, it sounds like the firefight breaks out, and they stepped into a deliberate ambush. Jerry's in the right column. He's the number 3 man. Point man is on the front. You've got LT, the lieutenant, that's right in front of him, and Jerry's number 3. and the point man immediately gets killed in action. He's the first to die in this battle. Both lead men for both columns get engaged by machine gun fire. The lieutenant that's right in front of Gerry gets shot in the stomach, and that's when Gerry springs into action. And as you heard earlier from some of the comments that were made, ultimately he puts himself between enemy fire and this lieutenant to save him. And along the way, with all the bullets that are firing, and as he's trying to exfil this individual, Gerry gets hit. He gets hit in the head. And in this ensuing portion of the fight, Gerry's able to get a hand grenade off, which we found later on silenced the enemy. That's a very, very summarized account of what took place. But for those that do not know, it's important. So as you all depart and you go home and you share the story, you know the facts. So this is 54 years in coming, and it's our honor to pin this award on you. I would just also offer that, despite the mission of rescuing rangers and, maybe clearing a portion of the jungle, doing a sweep looking for the remains, when firefights like that break out, the mission becomes saving one another. It's always about the man to your left and to your right. So that's where I'm sure Gerry's mind was at that point, is just taking care of his brothers. All right, so with that, you ready to publish the orders? Okay, for those of you who do not need to stand, we'll do attention to orders. That is solely to get your attention, not necessarily to stand at attention.
Attention to order. The Bronze Star Medal for Valor has been awarded to Specialist Gerald Tempesta for heroism in connection with military operations against a hostile enemy force in the Republic of Vietnam. Specialist Gerald Tempesta sought swift and immediate action without regard to his own safety to save the lives of his platoon leader, Ronnie J. Clark, and other members of 1st Platoon Charlie Company, 2nd Battalion, 27th Infantry Regiment, during an ambush that resulted in a 6-hour firefight while on a rescue mission during the Battle of Renegade Woods. In addition to aiding 10 platoon members, Specialist Tempesta sustained severe wounds and continued to fight in the Republic of Vietnam theater. His actions reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Signed, Chrissy E. Warmuth, Secretary of the Army.